Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson. Welcome to episode 41 of Sports Management Podcast. Before I introduce today's guest, I would like to suggest a great newsletter in sports. Head over to sportspundit.org and sign up today. Now, today's guest is Katie Simmonds, the Global COO at SIGA, Sport Integrity Global Alliance, and the Managing Director for SIGA Women. She's an English qualified lawyer specialized on sports law. She's the host of SIGA's YouTube series Women on Wednesdays, and she also sits on the Admission and Ethics Committee at AxisStars. In this episode, we speak about SIGA, integrity in sports, Katie's career through sports, and the upcoming SIGA's Women Leadership event in March in New York. Katie Simmonds, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus. Brilliant to be here.
I'm very excited to talk to you too. So you are the Global Chief Operating Officer at SIGA, Sport Integrity Global Alliance, and also the Managing Director at SIGA Women. So can you tell us, first of all, a little bit about what you do for SIGA?
Of course. The SIGA journey I've been involved in since inception of SIGA with our Global Chief Executive Officer, Emmanuel Mercedes de Medeiros. And it's a journey of reform and a catalyst for bringing change through the sports industry. I actually started my journey as a sports lawyer, and I still carry out that function in my capacity as Chief Operating Officer, so I'm the SIGA's General Counsel as well. So sports law, I've acted for various football clubs, motor racing clients, rugby players, coaches, teams, Formula E teams as well in my career that spanned, qualified as a lawyer in 2008, so quite a while ago. And in that time, I've been a partner of a law firm, set up my own sports law practice within that, and also worked for one of the biggest American law firms as a senior associate. And then I took this journey in the non-for-profit world on the journey of sport integrity. And that's it in a nutshell. And here I am on your podcast.
That's really interesting. And yes, I know that you're an English qualified lawyer as well, and I'm sure that that comes in handy in your work that you're doing now. And Mr. Medeiros has been a guest on this podcast as well, so the listeners is aware of him also. So one of the reasons why I want to talk to you today is because SIGA has a very interesting event on women's leadership coming up in March in New York. If I have understood it correctly, it will be both online and live.
That's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit or tell us more about this event?
Oh, I would love to tell you. I think the Summit on Female Leadership is the absolute pinnacle, really, of the work that we're spearheading for diversity and inclusion in sport. Everything we do, it's not event-driven. The event isn't the end itself. The event is raising awareness and bringing on champions for our causes all around sport integrity. And this thought leadership event really is underpinned by our universal standards on good governance in sport. And one of the standards is, calling for gender equity in the boardroom of sports organizations. And that's really the change we are seeking and the change we are leading to make in the industry. At the moment, currently, there's 17.8% of women in the executive bodies and the decision-making of the international federations. So we are below 50%. We've got a long way to go. Even to get 30%, which is one of UK sport, for example's targets, is still a long way to go. So we need to push for change, and SIGA's global. So, the change in some countries is more prominent than others, but we're bringing all sides of the industry together around this. And the summit really is the flagship event in order to do that. And we've just got such fantastic speakers. Just this week, we announced 30 high-level speakers, male and women. It's important, Marcus. We can't just do this on our own. It's for everybody. It needs to get behind the cause. And we are just fortunate to have SIGA's founding member, MasterCard, hosting us. And they are, their brand takes diversity and inclusion incredibly seriously. And so I'm organising the event with MasterCard, with Alison Giordano. She works at MasterCard, leading their commercial and sponsorship. and she is our vice chair of SIGA. So the event is 1.5 days. New York, Manhattan, Big Apple, baby. It's been a long time since I've been there because of the pandemic. So it's the first time that I've personally been able to go to America in 2 years, which is really timely because last year we just established the SIGA America Advisory Board. But it will be hybrid. It's the first hybrid event we've done to date. But during the pandemic, everything's been virtual. So really excited. And it's super exclusive in order to comply with the health and safety criteria in New York. It's 70 people in person and then unlimited digital attendance. So really, really great lineup, which I'm happy to go through just some of those brilliant names in a bit.
Great to also accommodate with the digital solution there to have a hybrid so more people can take part. As you said, it's such an important event. And on female leadership, because you are the managing director for SIGA Women, you host a Women on Wednesday podcast or series. If you can just talk a little bit about female leadership in sport. You mentioned the low percentages, but why do you think that is? How are we working to improve this? Where do you see it going in the future? Just a little bit your thoughts on it.
They're all pertinent questions, Marcus. And I think, peeling it back, we've got our standards, we've got the rating system, which is called SERVs, where SIGA is holding sports organizations accountable for the changes that we are wishing to implement in the industry. And we have some champions that are coming on board with that. But practically, what else can we do? And that's, the question that played both on our CEO and my mind. And we decided to take action in 2018 and come up with a solution to basically drive change by creating more opportunities for women. And that was when we established the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program in 2018. And it's just grown exponentially since then. We're about to enter into the 4th year of the program. And I've just recently closed the applications. We've got 52 applications from over 20 countries, which is just amazing. And it just shows, I think, that women that are reaching out, some of them are working in very well-established organizations, sports organizations, international federations, governing bodies in the industry that have applied. And others are maybe a bit behind that in terms of their career journey and are finding that they've just completed their studies and what else, how can they get involved? And I would say for both women that they whether they are working in the industry or not, yet the ones that are, they're probably looking upwards and seeing, well, who can I ask those difficult questions? Who has trodden that pathway? And when you look upwards, there might not be that many women in those powerful positions to ask. So this is really creating a global online community to bring women from all sides of the industry together. We've got women from MasterCard, Octagon, FIFA, other international federations participating like FIBA as well, other brands who are, giving up their time and really paving the way for the next generation. And I think it's, we've got to look at the male champions and find our allies in those sports organizations to help the pathway. But we've also got to, as women, look in the mirror and say, what can I do? It's not good enough that I've pierced the gender glass ceiling. What can we do to invite other women to follow and create that legacy for them? So it's changing the narrative, being an agent of change and ensuring that those pathways are there, because without the pathways, we cannot make the changes that we're seeking on the reform. And I just have been absolutely overwhelmed with the applications. And I will find mentors for each of them. So that's my pledge.
That's really amazing work and also very important. And one of the things that I like with SIGA is that, you walk the talk. You don't just say that there are not enough women in a leadership position in sports, full stop, and that's it. Like, you do something about it. So now this mentorship program is so great. There are great women in the sports industry on executive positions. I've had a couple on this podcast, and I think that it's great that SIGA creates a platform and for you to be able to distribute mentors to upcoming women in sports. So that's really great. If we circle back to the event in New York, you said that you had some interesting speakers there. Can you maybe name at least a few of them?
Yeah, I've got them up just in case I forgot any of them because there's so many. But I mean, I couldn't go on without saying, Alex Scott, MBE. She needs no introduction. Footballer turned pundit. We have Anne Carnes, who's executive vice chair of MasterCard, really senior. She's actually chair of the 30% Club. And I will be interviewing her, so really excited about that. We have Ali Braverman, head of revenue, Just Women's Sports. Anne Klett, she's the CEO and co-founder of Gold 5, which is like a women's apparel brand set up. Gold 5 relates to the SDGs, all about gender equity, so putting values and sort of corporate social responsibility ingrained in her brand. And we've got Octagon participating. Brilliant to have Caitlin Morris. She's Vice President, Social Community and Impact at Nike, but brilliant to have Nike on board. And we have, on the male front, we've got David Haggerty, who's the President of the International Tennis Federation. And we've got John Patrikoff. He's the CEO and co-founder of Athletes Unlimited, which is a female league that he's created across multi-sports. Jessica Berman, she's deputy chair of our advisory board for SIGA America, and she's also commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. Marla Messing, interim CEO of the NWSL. Michael Robichaud, he's been one of our supporters from the very beginning, senior vice president global sponsorships at MasterCard. Neera Shetty, PGA Tour. Rich Gotham, team president, Boston Celtics. The list goes on. I want to just cram in Sandra Lopez at Microsoft and Sue Campbell, Baroness Sue Campbell, forgive me, Sue, who's director of women's football at the FA. Just some of the women joining us. Most of them are in person. Some are dialing in virtually. And tune in. We've got more women. And I think just like to pick up on your point, Marcus, on the fact that SIGA's walking the talk, just to say that last year we changed our constitution to ensure that we have gender equity in our council because we didn't have that, and we co-opted 2 members, and we'll be opening applications for that shortly for those prominent positions in SIGA's decision-making structures in order to walk the talk.
Yeah, that's extremely important as well. And I know that Mr. Medeiros was recently re-elected, and when I spoke with him, that was before that, and he was very clear on the fact that he wants to have a democratic process, and that, there should be a voting, and that he doesn't want to just sit there if he doesn't have the support. And now that you said with the gender equity and just, the transparency, and SIGA is really walking the talk for sure.
I think so. We've got to, as for what we do at SIGA, walking the talk. We will always give examples of best practice. We're not negative against any sports organisation. Everybody is on a journey of ongoing best practice, embracing that with what we're doing. And that's exactly the service we're providing to the sports organisations we're working with. Walking the talk is important. Our governance is obviously inspired by the universal standards and by corporate best practice. And that's exactly why we publish our accounts, we're transparent, and we have term limits. So I think the manual's got 3 terms of 4 years, I believe, but there is a limit on that for 3 terms. So, it's important to be the change that we want to seek in the sports industry, and to gather champions from around the world to support that effort.
And speaking of best practices, you mentioned serves here a couple of times. It was, I believe, the first organization that went through the new system was Rugby Union League, right?
Yes, the European Rugby League Federation. They have 54 members across Europe. They went through the rating system back last year. We commenced the process at the end of 2020. It took about 6 months to do, and we published the rating, and they got the silver award. It's ongoing, so you don't just do it once. It's every 3 years you renew it, but it's on an annual basis as well. So it's ongoing best practice, and they'll be doing it again this year. And we've got several other very prominent organisations that have publicly pledged. The International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, that's one of our members, and FIDE, which is the International Chess Federation, We've got an agreement with UEFA to go through it as well, and many, many more. One of our members, Len, the European Aquatic Federation, they've just got a new Portuguese president elected. We're going to be working with them. So really exciting pioneers of this new culture of compliance that we're working with. And yes, we're open to work with other sports organisations. So if you are listening and you are interested in finding out more, please contact me, and I'd be delighted to take you on the journey of the rating system.
That's great. And you mentioned IMAF, and I have spoken with Densain White, that is also working with SIGA, and I can also tell now that I will talk to Kerith Brown, also the president, coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, brilliant.
So they are doing great things there as well. So yeah, we said that the event in March is hybrid. So if you want to attend either live or online, how will the listeners do that?
Oh, brilliant. So yeah, go onto our website, go on LinkedIn, go on our social media, Twitter, Instagram. You'll see the link on the website. It's under events. It's under 2022 events, and you can register. It's on Eventbrite. As I said, it's free for digital. And we've got 1 week left for in-person element. It's $350. You get 2 breakfasts, an amazing lunch, and networking with a champagne toast. It's incredible value. So thank you, MasterCard, for that. And in a week it will go up in price. We have very limited in-person availability due to the number of restrictions because of COVID. And all the money raised goes to the SIGA Women mentorship program, which will be reinvested back in. If you are a senior female leader, or a male leader for that matter, and you register for the free option, there is an option to donate too. So that would be welcome and appreciated. And I'll see you there.
In the second segment, I usually talk a little bit more about the guest and their journey in sports. You mentioned it in the beginning. You are the global COO of SIGA, and you are the managing director at SIGA Women, that you're a qualified lawyer, but just a little bit your journey through sports, if you can tell us.
Yeah, certainly. So I started my sports law career actually when I was a trainee lawyer in the insolvency practice, believe it or not. So it wasn't very, very popular, especially in Leeds and Luton town football clubs, where we put them into insolvency and admin. So I learned a lot about that and the football creditors rule. So my background's based on the insolvency side. Then it went into the litigation, had a lot of cases. My first case was in actually rugby union with a player who was put in breach of his contract and started acting for the players. I then became a registered lawyer with the Rugby Players Association, and again was representing the players and the coaches really against the clubs that, to, I guess, the David versus the Goliath situation. Did lots of interesting cases there, including a stalking case, bullying behaviour. Yeah, again, clubs putting players in breach for not reporting an injury, that sort of thing. And then really built up my practice, acted for a Premiership footballers, I mentioned before, some racing car drivers, and then moved that to working for more on the brand side for Virgin Formula E team, and really sort of use that experience to harness really maximising the clients across competition law, litigation, sponsorship and contracts. Acted for the European Professional Football Leagues, which actually was where our CEO was at the time, and then met our global CEO. Actually met him at the Sorbonne University in Paris. I was there in my capacity as a sports litigation lawyer. He was speaking, and really sort of, I'd advise any of your younger listeners to really try, and I know it's been very difficult during this pandemic, but where you get the opportunity to try and meet as many people in the industry, so many of my career pathway has been created using my networking skills and by meeting people and by asking them for help, really. And so, Manuel was in a position where he was setting up the embryo of SIGA, and I managed to secure a position working with him, and I've worked hand in glove with him for coming up to 7 years. So it's been an incredible journey. I think that a lot of people would maybe not like or enjoy setting an organization up from nothing, from scratch, but I see myself as a builder. And I love building the building blocks, everything from the SIGA name, which actually I came up with, to the logos we've designed together, the content on the website, the events, even the governance and our own internal rules and regulations. So it's been a baptism of fire. It's taken me all around the world meeting our stakeholders before the pandemic. And I just think actually the digital has been one of the kind of friendlier things that has come from the pandemic. The ability to contact and even have today's interview with you without meeting in person, it does sometimes have its limitations, but to its advantage, you are connected to everyone in the world at the click of a button. And so I would encourage your younger listeners to really embrace that. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid. And people will help. If you're honest and genuine, and apply for the mentorship program, be on the youth council for SIGA. Young people got a huge advantage, especially on the technology side, over the older generation, and we need you to in our working capacity. So make yourself indispensable is my advice.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I can only agree. And yeah, definitely if the pandemic taught us anything, was to how to leverage technology, and that can also be done with regards to networking, obviously, as you're saying here. And that's what I do on this podcast. I reach out to people and I ask if they want to talk. And the worst thing in the world is that they either say no or they don't answer you. You don't have anything to lose, but I agree with you there 100%. Circling back to the SIGA name, you said that you came up with that because if I remember correctly, I think Mr. Medeiros told me that it's in Portuguese, right?
Yes, it means go straight ahead. That was a kind of fluke, which was even more brilliant. It means to go straight ahead in both Portuguese and Spanish. So Sport Integrity Global Alliance, SIGA, go ahead. And that's exactly what we do.
Do you speak Portuguese, or that was by coincidence?
Yeah, it's not as well as I'd like, but that's because Mr. Medeiros speaks such good English. So, shame on him that he hasn't taught me. But now I do know how to order a mean dinner there. So, yes, I can definitely work my way through the menu.
That's great to hear. Have you had any bumps on the road in your career? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I think everybody's had bumps in the road. That's life, isn't it? And it's how you deal with them at the time. I've got several. But I would say if I was going to pick one, it would be, probably, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to share a story. It's probably when I was working at a law firm. And I had a particular incident where, some of the other female lawyers sort of acted in a bullying way towards me. And that did make me question whether I should continue on the sports law journey and whether I was a right fit for the firm. I think when I went to that firm, I did particularly think that, should I change who I am in order to fit in, or should I be genuine and my authentic self? And I think probably I made a mistake because at first I thought I should conform and be what they wanted me to be. And actually, my advice would be don't do that. Always be yourself, because you've got to, in order to know your self-worth and have that confidence, you need to make sure that you are totally comfortable in your own skin. And only by then are you able to really unlock the power of who you are and who you're going to be. And I was always very certain I was going to have an international career. That was incredibly important to me. I didn't want to just confine myself to the UK. And, this global movement that we're driving is just, testament to that. Every day we receive emails, we receive support. Somebody new comes on to speak, a new partner comes on board, a new member comes on board. And if I had stayed there and continued to conforming myself, I wouldn't be in this global movement today. So, sort of a brave thing to share. But if you're sat there at work and feel that you don't fit in and are made to feel like that, then that is not the place for you and you should move on. Obviously, we've got realities with the pandemic and job things, but I really, really recommend pushing yourself and being authentic to yourself in order to realize who you are, and to use that and leverage the positivity in the world.
That's great advice, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that there are people who identify with your story and that will be motivated by your story and how you overcame it. Is there something that I haven't asked you that you feel is important to mention?
You haven't asked me. No, I don't think there is. I think just I would say on the mentorship program, just to highlight that we're looking for more mentors. As I said, I think I've got about 30. I need 52, and I'm very, very confident we're going to get that because of all the fantastic women that I'm working with for this event and beyond. And just to say, we're looking for more mentors and more partners and more like-minded people to join us. This is an effort, but it's not owned by us. We want it to be co-owned because united we can make the transformations that are needed. And so, it's a call to action. It's not a missing question. It's just a chance to call to action and ask people to find out more about SIGA and how their organisations or as individuals you can get involved in this effort.
Definitely. And let's connect also you and me afterwards and see. I have a couple of names in mind, maybe if they would be interested to be mentors as well.
Fantastic. A male champion, Marcus. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So the final question that I ask everyone is if you could choose the next guest on this podcast, who do you think that I should talk to?
Well, I'll tell you who just sprang to mind. It's our CEO just sent me, but Kate Winslet. She just did a brilliant piece for L'Oreal on why she's worth it and why as women we're worth it. But this is sports management. So I would say the next person should be Jessica Berman, who's our Deputy Chair of SIGA America, Deputy Commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. And I'll give you two, because in case you're greedy, it would definitely be my counterpart who's helping organise the event that they're hosting. It would be Alison Giordano, MasterCard. So I would pick those two, and I'd be happy to connect you with both of them.
Thank you. That's two great names. Thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time to be on the Sports Management podcast, and I wish you a nice and safe trip to New York, and I hope that the event will be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And don't forget, listeners, to go onto our events page at siga.com and register for the event. It's complimentary tickets for the digital element, and you can also make a small donation. All monies are invested into the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @sportsmpodcast.